Aloha, everybody. Today is May 7th, 2025. My name is Kim Ann Curtin, and I'm very fortunate today to have a guest coach, Ricky Analog. How are you, Ricky?
I'm good, Kim. Thanks for having me. And I feel like it's just been too long anyway. So,
It has been too long. Ricky and I did Method of Mindset for about a year, I think, on Instagram 2 or 3 years ago. Like it's been a while.
I don't like thinking about how fast time flies.
Time is going faster, or that either means I'm getting older or just time is warping up. I don't know. But I
Yeah.
asked Ricky the other day if he was willing to come into this because, of course, Ricky has the capability to really coach around the technical side. As you guys know, I am always going to coach on the mindset side. So having Ricky here facilitates for every trader that's in this space the opportunity to have both sides of the equation addressed. So we're very fortunate to have Ricky here today. Ricky, tell people where they can find you and just tell people a little bit about your experience for those who might be living under a rock and don't know who you are.
It's funny. I mean, I have all these social media accounts, but I literally a few days ago deleted everything off my phone. Like I don't have. I mean, I still have them, but
Mhm.
like obviously, like they're too time consuming. So I mean, I have at Ricky Analog for Twitter. I have it for Instagram. Um, I think it's also my YouTube channel, which has been dormant for many years. I put all the content out I think I was gonna put out on that channel,
Yep.
but
Yep.
it's still a lot of times I get messages from people that say, "Hey, I just found this YouTube channel, and whatever it was that was taught in that video resonated with them or helped them out or something."
Totally.
So some of the things that the videos go over, I think, are things that last the test of time, which I feel is like a testament to them. So
It
uh,
is.
if
It
you haven't
is.
checked them out, check them out. And but yeah, I'm trying to kind of lay low from social media, which
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a love hate relationship. So
It I get it. It's got its benefits, but it's also really costly to our well-being and just to our sanity. So guys, I just put the link for Ricky's YouTube channel. As he said, he's not really adding new material, but there is a lot of material on there that you can already get value from. So I would definitely check it out, subscribe to the channel, and also follow Ricky on here on obviously YouTube is one of the places this is airing. It is airing on Instagram. It is airing on X. So be sure to, if you aren't following Ricky, I don't know what you're thinking. So you might as well get on that as soon as possible. Ricky and I got connected uh, initially, thanks to him seeing me on the Steady Trade podcast, which now has to be 5 or 6 years ago. And I
yeah.
truly feel Ricky plucked me in a sense out of not obscurity. Steady Trade has a big following, but thanks to you, Ricky, I got to make the acquaintance of the one and only Adriano.
Yeah, I still talk to him daily. He's still the Adriano we all know and love. So
He is one of a kind. And thanks. And I didn't even know that it was you, Ricky, which I think I've told you that I got that email from Adriano to talk with me. And I had no idea how he found me. And I think I only found out this from you at Trace for Cause when we got to meet in person. And that's when you were like, Kim, it was me who told Adriano about you. I was like, what? How did you never tell me this?
yeah, I don't know why. I just figured it wasn't important information, but yeah, I just when you see people doing good things and you think that they add value, uh, I was just the messenger. You were the one that brought it to yourself, right? Like I obviously saw value in what you were providing and thought, there's a guy that I look up to. He was a mentor of mine, still is to this day. I share a lot of things with him. I
Yeah,
share anytime I find something that I think is valuable, I bring it to him. I bring it to a lot of people, right?
yeah,
So,
yeah.
uh, I mean, you should probably give yourself more credit because I think you earned that.
Thanks, Ricky. Really nice of you to say that. Thank you so much. Thank you. It means a lot. As does our friendship. It means a lot to me, and I'm very grateful that we've been able to just meet in the first place. I'm just, and especially in person. Just again, a shout out to Traders for Cause, because if it wasn't for that conference, like we still would be just virtual friends.
Yeah, that's the coolest thing about that conference is,
Yeah.
I mean, all of us, communicate with some just a handful, but some like hundreds of other traders on a daily basis, and the vast majority don't actually know each other in real life. So like it's always fun to meet people and put a face to the name, and build like what seems to be a more authentic and important relationship. I think obviously you can have some pretty important relationships that are virtual or whatever, but like when you meet somebody in person, and I feel like I don't know, I guess I would kind of compare it to like, for me, when I meet somebody that has kids, I'm always like, dude, I feel like I can trust this person without him proving himself to me.
Totally.
Because like once you have a kid, like something changes inside you that like makes you feel like, you have to lead by example. You have to always do the right thing. And so like, and you also like realize that it's not about yourself. It's about like the people you care about. And so like when you meet somebody in real life, I feel like they feel the need to live up to a certain standard because now they've met you in real life, right? Like that guy has my phone number. He knows where I live. He's met my wife.
That's right.
That kind of shit right there is like, you don't want to ruin that reputation.
That's right.
Meanwhile,
It's true.
you might know somebody online only, and like you could be bad mouthing that person behind their back. You could be, it could be a one-way relationship. There's a lot of different things that can happen.
Totally.
Not trying to demean online relationships by any means, because they're so important for many of us traders.
But I think having that ability to meet in person and connect with the humanity of another human just makes us all feel uplifted and less isolated, because I think this is such an isolating work.
Yeah.
It's isolating.
It's funny. Yesterday I went through a really big trading saga, and a lot of times, like when we run into a brick wall, especially face first, our first thought is like, I wish like somebody would save me right now. Somebody save me. And
totally.
I always, whenever I have that feeling, I always think back to a conversation I had with you about the traders or the hero's journey, and like how in every epic, it's like, yes, you have help along the way or whatever, but like at the end of the day, you have to be the hero of your own story. And it always kind of like makes you realize like, dude, no one's coming to save your ass. You either figure this shit out and you move forward, or you can go fill out a job application. Because it's funny, we always think like, we humans think in terms of worst outcome, right? Like, oh my God, my life is over if I blow up an account. And it's like, when you like write it down on paper, you're like, worst case scenario, I gotta go get a job. Most people would like read that and laugh their ass off. Like, that's your worst case scenario. Like, holy shit, bro. Like, it's not like you lost a family member. It's not like,
right.
But we always feel like our problems are humongous. And that was like a big thing I dealt with yesterday, where it was kind of just like remembering like, hey, you can sit here and wallow in your pity and pray someone comes to save you, or you can be your hero and push forward.
Yep. It's so beautiful the way you describe that. I think that is so true. And me, I'm going to just say, I think we do need a few minutes to grieve and rage and be pissed and feel like, we just got screwed over by the universe or the market. But we have to put a alarm clock on that pity party, if you will. But we have to feel it. I think it's human. But if it lasts more than, look, it depends on how big it is, the mistake. Maybe it's a day or a week or a year for those who really like have a big loss by way of grief or whatever. But there has to come that time where you put it down and say, okay, now I have to take ownership of it. And that is, it's hard though. Like, I just guess I want to say that to everybody listening. This is not easy.
No, not by any means.
Hard as hell. It's the grit, but that's why, I've heard you speak for years to traders too. Your constant advocacy to them is to develop the muscle strength to face those smaller losses so that the grit develops to these big face first into a brick wall ability to handle it. Like, you can't handle those face and brick moments unless you built up muscle strength.
Yeah. It's funny because it was yesterday. I'm just like, oh great, now I got to go on this podcast and try to like have a game face, and I was like borderline. I should just call Kim and just be like, hey, I'm gonna have to reschedule. But I started thinking, I was like, dude, I mean, it's almost like probably the perfect timing to do it, because like one, like I think sometimes it's important to like be vulnerable enough to show like people that, hey, people that have been trading for a long time, we still have huge struggles all the time. Like, it does not end. You don't wake up one day and never have these problems again. And it's like you said, I think what is more important is that we've developed the ability to deal with it easier and quicker and move forward faster. I mean, dude, one of my favorite people in the world as far as like talking trading with is Tom Canny and Joe Fahmy, both of them. And Tom was gone for a while from Twitter, like haven't seen him forever. And out of nowhere, he popped up on Joe Fahmy's podcast a week or two ago.
Yep.
And I instantly, dude, as soon as I see anything with those two, like I'm loading it up, throwing it on. And like, I mean, that guy will break it down to you in no uncertain terms. That like, I mean, he always refers to them as the village idiots inside your head that live inside your head, that, they never go away. They never move out. They don't ever pay rent, but like, they're always there. You just have to learn how to deal with them.
Yep.
And that was like one of those moments yesterday where I was like, had some village idiots and had to deal with them. And, but it, thank God I have people like you and Tom Canny and Fahmy and all these other great people that are able to put that out there, that like, dude, don't think because you've been around for a long time that you've lasted, X amount of years in the market, that like all of a sudden you've got it figured out and you got it made, because nothing's further from the truth.
Yeah.
One of the things that you deal with when you have these problems is a loss of confidence and a feeling of being unable to trust yourself. Yeah. And that's one of those things that, like, depending on how much you've developed this skill, that can last a long time. Yeah. Or I was yesterday, I was like, oh, I am not trading for like a week. I'm not going to trade it for a week. But by this morning, I moved past it mentally and was just like, dude, like, all right, we're here. Yeah. But take it slow. It wasn't like I didn't come to the market today ready to like try to make it all back or, find any sort of buttons to smash. It wasn't like that. But I knew mentally, like, I had processed it, moved past it and let it all go. Totally. But it sucked. And it's like the point I was trying to make is that if you haven't been trading for a long time and you haven't realized that that never goes away, the first or second time this happens to you in your trading career, you might think it's all over and it's the end of the world. I'll never trade again, whatever. And you might not, like, that's something that you also have to come to terms with. It could be okay. Is like, trading is one of those things that not everybody will be able to make even a living, let alone a killing. But like, even able to eke out any sort of living is not going to happen for everyone. So like, sometimes the right answer is to kind of like acknowledge that and cut losses before it turns into a bigger problem. But if you have the grit, if you have the determination, and if you can pick yourself back up when you fall down, that's probably to me, one of the biggest skills a trader can have
Yep.
is the ability to pick themselves back up.
Yep. I agree. I feel it just comes down to being comfortable with the humanity of being a fallible human. We're all fallible. We're always going to make mistakes. We're all going to fuck up. And can we forgive ourselves for those moments where we're less than perfect? That's the key. But that's part of why I feel like the market is the best school of enlightenment, because it is going to constantly force every trader and investor to be with humanity, fallibility. But it's like, but if we come, I believe, from like, stuff in our childhood, stuff in our life where we were ashamed for being human, or there was a huge cost we paid because we weren't perfect, whatever the hell that meant to somebody, then we have this kind of resistance to it showing up again. Not because we don't understand we're human, it's because we're expecting perfection from ourselves, when that is just inappropriate expectation.
Yeah. I feel like you just described the public school system.
Right? Look at
I mean, you wonder where we get these preconceived notions about like what is supposed to be normal.
Correct. You listen or see the kids in like a Montessori school, they're rewarded for mistakes. They're encouraged to make mistakes. I don't know if you ever saw this video. It's a video by this guy, Tom Wozniak, and it's called the Marshmallow Challenge.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not the marshmallow where the kid has the marshmallow in front of them.
Oh, okay.
It's a different one.
That's the one I was thinking of.
Yeah, most people do. But anyway, that's the name of this thing. And it basically is, spaghetti sticks that you get 18 spaghetti sticks uncooked. You get string, tape, and a marshmallow, and you have to build the tallest structure. And you got 18 minutes to do it, and you're with a table of like 10 people, right? So at the start of this exercise, the guy, he's given a TED talk about it. He said, who do you think, of all the different cohorts of people that did it, from CEOs to kindergartners, who do you think did the best? Who do you think, Ricky?
My guess would be probably somebody a bit older. They had the whole spectrum of people do this. So like
all different age groups, CEOs, executives.
My guess would have been like a college age engineer or something. But
right, totally. Kindergartners.
Really?
Because the kindergartners had no problem building it as best they could, watching it fall down, building it again. So because they were willing to reiterate, make mistakes, the CEOs did the worst. Because they spent 17 minutes building what they thought was the perfect structure, and what they thought about was the weight of that marshmallow is heavier than expected. So they put it on top, ta-da, at the end of their time, and the thing collapses. And only then do they realize, oh, we should have tested this sooner. But because they had to do it perfect, they didn't let the mistakes happen in the beginning, as many as possible. The kids were like, who cares? We just do it again. We do it again. They did it like 18 times and got it. But because CEOs, just like most of us adults, don't like to make mistakes, they didn't reiterate over and over again. Isn't it crazy?
Yeah.
It's like, how do we be like kids that didn't get traumatized by the school system?
We say that a lot. Why can't we be more like the kids?
Exactly. They just like fall down and get up. They don't make themselves wrong. But like, man, we're good at it. I'm good at it too, Ricky. I'm good at it too. I beat the living daylights out of myself. And I am trying to practice this that I preach too, but it still happens, especially when the stakes are high, you know? So, all right. I'm going to put the link. So, first of all, Michael, thanks for being here. You're welcome for doing this. I'm so excited to have Ricky here again. Tina, good afternoon to you. So, I'm going to put the link, guys, for you to come in if you want some coaching. We're going to take, if we have time, 2 guests. I'm going to put this link back here, which should show up on all the platforms. But in case it doesn't, X doesn't always show it. So, I'm going to go on to X2. And I'm going to go to this and put it in the comments. So if anybody wants to get some live coaching from Ricky by himself or from both of us, come on in now. Speak now or forever hold your peace, as they say. All right, so there's the link. Guys, just have to click on that link. I do request you have a camera on so that everybody can see you. And
Kim, you know what I'm eating?
What are you eating?
Spicy poke.
You are? Where you get poke?
They have it at Costco out here, the spicy ahi.
Oh, I bet
not
you it's
bad.
good.
It's not as good as Tamura's, but
I never got to that place. We have Umeki's on the Big Island. Umeki's is the good one. And honestly, Foodland.
yeah, I was gonna say Foodland's notorious for having the best.
It is so good. I'm like, how is this possible? This is just like supermarket poke, but and that spicy one, I don't know. That's my favorite. Do you like the spicy one? Pele's. I get the Pele's, which is like a spicy. Oh my God, it's so good. I never ever really ate before coming to Hawaii, so that's so good. It's like and I have that book, but the Hawaiian Hells are coming out, Born of Two Oceans. So I'm excited.
Oh yeah.
It's gonna be good. And I think there's a PR firm that's gonna help us promote it a little bit. And I think we're gonna do some media. Isn't that exciting?
Nice. That is awesome. Oh yeah, Kim.
It's gonna be fun. It'll be fun.
Nice.
All right. So Liz has asked us a question. Liz says, okay, well, it's question time now, Liz. So do you want to come in or do you want me to just read this? So she says she's been trading part-time for 6 years. This is Liz, who's a regular. She's also been a client of mine. She says, I had my first profitable year last year. I had gotten used to making a certain amount of money. This year, I've been struggling a great deal because I'm trying to make money. I'm losing more money. I'm struggling with enough. How can I reset to I've made enough? You can't come on camera. No problem, Liz. So you asked Liz here, how can I reset to I've made enough versus I have lost enough? So maybe does that make sense to you, Ricky? And feel free to just operate.
Let's see. I'm not sure like if she means verse. Like I made enough versus lost enough. I get the part like struggling with enough. Like I think all this.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let me start with one. Congrats on reaching profitability for a year. That in itself deserves all the applause because that was a tough mountain to climb and it wasn't easy. And it won't be, like I was saying earlier, it's not going to get easy, but you made it and it's awesome. The second thing I will say is, just because you made money for a year, understand the way that markets change and the way that like what might have worked for 1 year doesn't have to continuously work. It doesn't mean that it won't work again in the future. It just could be that right now that setup isn't firing perfectly. I would say there's some basic underlying fundamentals to trading different setups that I'm going to just operate from the assumption that you've already gotten this part down. But if you haven't, take a close listen. Okay. So one is understanding that anybody could, make money in any trade at any time. It doesn't mean that you were right, and you could lose money in any trade at any time. And that doesn't mean you were wrong. So you have to understand that like you're profitable for that year because you traded a setup and you stuck to rules and you were disciplined. Not that, you know, you were able to eke it out simply through, you know, fighting bad trades till they turn good. Or, and I apologize if I sound like a broken record every time I come on Kim's show, but it truly is. I mean, this light's getting brighter on this camera. It's funny. Sorry, but and I'm not doing anything. It's just doing it.
Good. It's probably picking up daytime as sun is setting.
But the reason I sound like a broken record is because this is so important and so fundamental to trading. And that is, you know, understanding that you have to make sure that your results are a direct reflection of your discipline. If you say, I trade this setup, when I see this, I do that, and then you go off and do something completely different, but you make money, and then at the end of the week, month, year, whatever it is, you look back and you say, I was profitable, therefore my setup works. Well, that isn't really, there's no correlation, because you didn't trade the exact same setup with the discipline that you needed. So if you have all that ironed out, then we can move forward with this, which like I said, I'm going to start with the assumption that you do have that ironed out. I just wanted to put that out there for anybody listening that might not. So once you have a setup that you trade with discipline, and you know that it has an edge, and you know that it works, you need to also continuously track it, not only trade it, but track it, right? Because let's say you skipped a trade that was your setup, or you took a trade that wasn't your setup, or, you know, sometimes people don't have their scanner set up to where they catch every single one of those setups on every single day. But you need to be able to scan the market to find them and still track them to see how they're performing. And the reason I say that is because different setups will go through different amounts of what I would call a dry period. And I trade a few different setups, and luckily I have a few, because if it was just one, I would definitely deal with this. And that is what I'm talking about, of having a dry spell where something's just not quite working. Whether it's when volatility kicks up, which, you know, we had, you know, you had a lot of traders that made a lot of money in 2020, where you could have literally just woke up, bought something that seemed like it was ridiculously overpriced, and at the end of the day sold it for an even more ridiculously overpriced price. Then you had a bunch of guys that hit 2021 kind of continued. 2022, all of a sudden, you know, the market rolled over and the money dried up, and things, you couldn't just throw shit at the wall. You literally had to know what you were doing. And there are different setups for different markets. And that would be kind of where I would look at when somebody says to me, last year I made good enough money. This year, all of a sudden I'm struggling. Now, the other question I have is, are you struggling to make money this year, or are you just struggling to make more money? Because the way you said, I'm struggling with what is enough.
Yep.
Because it sounds like you wanted to maybe grow what you made last year to a larger amount this year, which is good. It's progression and it's healthy. And it comes with a whole new set of struggles. And as somebody that just turned profitable, you probably are going to struggle with that. And that is like, yes, you know that your system works, you know that you can make money, but the numbers behind the dollar sign matter to you. They matter to the point where you make different decisions than you would have made with a few less shares, right? So if that's what the problem is, my suggestion would be to look at like how much you maybe tried to increase size. A lot of times people go, okay, I was buying 100 shares of XYZ during this setup, and, you know, trying to make this amount on each trade. And now I'm trying to buy 200 shares. And I was like, I know that doesn't sound like a big jump, right? It's just 100 more shares, but it's double. It's literally double. So you wouldn't think that if someone was like, well, I used to trade 10,000 shares. Now I'm taking 20,000. Now you're like, oh, that makes a little more sense, because that's a huge jump. I think a better approach would be to just slightly size up so that it's like the change is barely noticeable. You want it noticeable. You do want to feel uncomfortable, but barely noticeable. Not to the point where you don't make the same decisions. She's written some more, so let me read it real quick. She says, okay, she means okay, I've made enough today, and stop trading instead of giving it back. Okay, that makes more sense too. Instead of I've lost enough, so let's just stop trying to make more. So there's different ways of looking at that. The answer is definitely going to vary slightly depending on what your specialty is, like what you trade, what your setup is. Some, like a lot of what I trade, the A plus setups happen in the opening hour of the morning. So if I'm sitting at my desk trying to trade that setup at 1 p.m., then I know that mentally something isn't working, and like I'm not making the right decisions. Something must have happened in the morning. Now I'm trying to do what you're saying, right? Like I either didn't make enough to make myself feel like I was, made my quota. You should never have a quota, by the way, guys. I think Kim's nodding in agreement. I think it's probably a good thing to reiterate is that you shouldn't come to the market with any expectations of what you're going to take from it. Every day you should come to the market, and more or less I come to the market and say, like, let me see how much money I can protect. How much money can I not lose?
Wow.
Because
wow, that's so powerful. Like, say it again. I think you should say that. Everybody write up on a post-it.
The first hat I wear at all times is I'm a risk manager. Like it doesn't matter how A plus I think a setup is. And this is kind of how I got in trouble yesterday. Was I sized up and I felt like I maybe had a bit of a point to prove to myself. Mm-hmm. And then I had a deer in the headlights moment. And I'm telling you guys, anybody listen to this, it doesn't take but one, maybe even less than 1 second where you hesitate to make the decision you're supposed to make. Mm-hmm. And something goes from like, it's bad to like really out of control. Mm-hmm. And so it's so important to be disciplined and stick to things. But like I said, every morning I'm like, all right, let's protect our capital. In fact, back when I was a moderator at True Trader, it was like every single morning, that would be what I would say on a live stream. It was like, protect your capital at all costs, because it's more important to make sure we're here to trade tomorrow than it is to make whatever dollar amount you think is going to impress Twitter. So again, don't come with any sort of expectations. Trade your best, trade the size you should be trading, where you feel comfortable, and just trust in the outcome. Trust that the outcome will be there if you stick to your system, if you stick to your discipline. In fact, grade yourself on that, not on your P&L. Don't even, people don't believe me when I say this, but I don't have my P&L showing when I trade at all. End of the day, I look, and people are like, well, you're a trader, you can do math. I promise you, I take enough trades throughout the morning that my P&L is anyone's guess. So every single day is kind of like Christmas, where it's like, hey, I wonder what I made today or lost today, like I just unhide it. And then it's like, oh, sometimes I'm like upset. I'm like, damn, I thought I was green today. It might be slightly red. Some days I'm like blown away. I'm like, I thought I was like maybe red or slightly green, and I'm happily green, whatever it be. But I don't see my P&L throughout the day. I know it will affect me. Other people I've talked to, it doesn't affect them. Yeah. You have to kind of like figure that out for yourself. But if you're having problems with, have I made enough money today, or have I lost enough that I shouldn't try to get anything back? My guess would be that you're more like me, where you shouldn't see your P&L. Yeah. The other thing is, lost enough to the point where I should stop trying to make more. There are reasons to call it a day based on, how much money you've lost. But it's not the dollar amount. It's more about the mental place it puts you in. And Kim can definitely speak more to that, because you're not going to make the right decisions once you're on tilt. And I mean, I think that's probably a good place to leave it on my end on the technical side, because Kim probably knows way more about why it's important to walk away when you're not mentally there than the guy that sat here yesterday and got, I did my best version of the Kool-Aid man running through a brick wall. But
oh, I'm sorry that happened yesterday, but I think it's just evidence that even somebody as experienced as you are is going to have moments where mistakes happen, or you're human. And that's the key, is just like, this is going to never go away for anybody who is not a robot, or, even robots are making mistakes. AI is making mistakes. So maybe we can have a little mercy for ourselves that we're making some too.
I'll say one last thing about it, and then I don't really want to talk about the rest of this podcast. But as bad as it was, like I said, deer
Yeah.
in the headlight moment, you like split decision, you didn't act with decisiveness. I still took the stop. I still ate the loss, and it still was probably the biggest loss I've had in a few years. But if I didn't do it, my account was gone. It was gone. And listen, I'm fine. I'm completely fine. I'll be back.
Yeah.
Like I'll make it back in no time. But had I not done it, had I fought it for real, like, which is something, there's a difference between hesitating and then deciding, no, I'm going to dig my heels in and fight this. I didn't do that. I just hesitated, and it cost me a lot.
Yep. But
Had I done that, I
huge,
wouldn't even
Ricky.
done
That
it.
is huge. That is what you, as a veteran, know.
Well,
know.
and no, it's what I, as a father and a husband, know. It's like, hey, I mean, there's 3 kids and a wife out there that like I have to be accountable to, and I have to, I always act in the best interest of what's best for my family. Me proving a point to the market and trying to be macho man is not it. So
Yeah, it's beautiful though, because that is, to me, the moment where you were the hero of your family. Because if you fought it, like you said, that would have been ego that won out, but your hero made that decision. Okay, there was a hesitation, but you caught the bleeding before everything bled out. And that is everything. It's everything, man.
Appreciate you saying that, because I hadn't even thought about that. But I have to admit that there's a lot of truth to, like, it hurt, but it was necessary. And sometimes I think that's what our job is. Yeah, our job is to do the hard shit when it's necessary. So
totally, that was a hard truth in that moment. And if you were that way younger version of you, it could have potentially lasted more hesitation moments, more dollars, more bleeding out, but you didn't. You were
more job applications.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, no, before I was married with kids, that would have been a really nasty blow up for sure. 100%. Guaranteed. There's not a doubt in my mind.
But I just feel like, God, you're a walking, talking billboard today for what every trader has to be able to do. You're going to have to be able to be like, oh my God, and then pull it.
Well, next time we're doing a podcast together, I'm not trading the day before then. If this was some sort of like necessary loss so that I could be here and share it with everybody.
This is just you transmuting that pain into something, like weaving it into gold. That's all it is. The timing is perfect, because you're giving evidence of the fact that this is a constant, never-ending story for every trader. Every trader. Jason Shapiro, he was the last guest that came on this live. He came in. I got watching, not saying this, that other traders are afraid to come on. They could have a loss the day before. But he had a really rough couple of weeks in fact, the day before too. And he was just like, there's just never a guarantee, right? He's Mr. Market Wizard. And he was like, it's been hell. It's been hell for me. Like hell. Like for you guys to be saying that to these traders who think like they're the only ones, the new kids on the block. I'm like, have you listened to the top dogs? What happens to them? They're human too.
Yeah.
It's like, but this is what I feel the market does. You tell me if I'm wrong, but it's like you get to a level and then it says, oh, I see that. Now we're going to level you up again.
No, it totally knows. Like, this, I think, is another thing I think I've heard Tom Canny say, but the market will snuff you out. Like, it knew that I was going to have that morning where I was like, hey, I'm going to size up today. I'm showing up to teach the market a lesson. And then it was like the market knows, and it kind of chuckles a little. And it's just like the ocean, right? It just rears back, raises up a wave that could take down any boat, and it just capsizes you. And you're like, oh fuck, I forgot the market's like the ocean. What am I doing? Like, I'm out here in my little freaking my like bass fishing boat, like, oh.
Totally.
But it's like, you know what else is cool is like the best thing is like that kind of loss and that kind of mistake only have to happen once every few years.
That's
where
right.
you know it's a good reminder. It
Yeah.
humbles you.
Yeah.
It really puts everything in perspective. And like I said, like it makes you think about worst case scenarios and realizing that the worst case scenarios aren't that bad.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And also, I would hope it also shows you how you are such a different trader than the one you were 5, 10 years ago, because you did pull out, and that you are okay, and that you are here, and that you didn't bleed out when a 5, 10, 20 year ago person would have.
yeah,
That is worth celebrating and patting yourself in the back for.
I appreciate it, Kim.
The
I wanted
truth.
to ask Liz if we answered most of that. I also wanted you to kind of touch on the walking away. So the part where she says when she's lost enough, so let's just stop trying to make more. Meaning, like, I think throw in the towel for the day because we don't want to make things worse. Now, from a technical perspective, I would say if there's legit valid setups, you take them because that's your job. But from a mental perspective, there may be a reason to not.
Yeah, that's a really good point that I feel you can speak to because you're a trader. But I do think that is forgotten about a lot of times, especially for part-time traders. That mental game, especially when you have other responsibilities, another job, and or all the other stuff that comes with kids, family, parents, like you're going to not mentally be on your game sometimes. You got to see that. You're just exhausted. Never mind emotionally not ready for what is going to be asked of you. So it's a really
Well,
good
my guess too is that her goal, one of her goals, and I could be wrong. Liz, correct me if I am. One of her goals is most likely to parlay this into her career to where she doesn't have to work the other job. And I promise you that, like I said, making money for 1 year presented its struggles, its challenges. Making money multiple years will be more challenges. Growing to an account or making more money than what you were comfortable with prior comes with its own set of challenges. And cutting the cord and making trading your sole income comes with an enormous amount of challenges.
Yeah.
And so you take it one step at a time. Don't try to like put the cart in front of the horse. Yeah. And yeah, see, she says she does want to be full time. So yeah. And I think most people do, especially when they realize they can make money sitting at home on a computer. Right.
Totally.
But it's just one of those things that takes time. Don't try to like speed through the process because the ups and the downs and the, you know, all the struggles, that's what gets you to kind of like what we were talking about earlier of like where you're, you know, you can rebound from the big losses quicker and you have more grit and you just know that comes with time. It doesn't, I don't think you can replicate that any other way.
Yeah.
I think it's just through the repetitions.
Yeah, it's a good point. It's just that you know, in sports, they just did you ever see that video clip? I reposted it a couple of weeks ago, a couple of months ago, of what are the guys that do the plane aviation, the Blue Angels? Are they called?
Oh yeah, there's the Blue Angels and then the Thunderbirds.
Okay, I think it was the Blue Angels, and it showed them in a conference room with them all having their eyes closed, and they were all pre-walking through the steps, and they were saying it, and they were moving their body as if they all were in there fighter, in their planes. And they were like, saying the words the way they would in the plane, moving their arm, like with the equipment, like they would. Like they were going through, these guys are like master level, and they're still in the conference room doing this over and over again. Like these guys are like the top of the food chain with regards to that skill set. That is muscle memory. How can traders expect to operate like that without the muscle repetition memory? I think it's an appropriate expectation of yourself.
Yeah, definitely.
Right? All right, Gavin asks, I think you here, Ricky, what did your timeline as a trader look like? What were the key advancements and the struggles? It's a big question, Gavin. I like it. Let's see how much Ricky wants to answer all of that you take on. Take it on.
So I had a business with a business partner. We started in 2010 or 2011. And I was in Hawaii in college, and that business provided the income to allow us to take some of the money and figure out what we had a passion for. And I was always interested in markets, mostly because I thought markets were like this secret society. I was like, oh, it's like you either have to be really rich or a rocket scientist. And so it seemed like this really secret club. And I was like, dude, if I could figure out how to crack that code, I was like, I want in that secret club. It's so funny, the way you saw things before you were involved to how you see them now. Oh my God, I was so delusional to think that this is some sort of secret club. Imagine me as a kid, knocking on the door outside, sir, could I please come in?
Totally.
That was what I thought. And oh man. So I took.
But I think that's on purpose, Ricky. I think it's on purpose. I think they don't want the average person to think they can do this.
Well, I do think that there is probably a secret club, and we're still not in it.
Yeah, probably.
But they definitely let us think we are.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I took, I had some ups and downs. The first, I blew up my account within 3 months or something, real fast, maybe even 2, because I followed. This is in 2012. It was the first pot stock boom on OTC stocks, which is over the counter. I don't even trade OTC anymore, which is hilarious. But that was where I got my start, was following people on Twitter that were talking about the pot stocks they were buying.
Wow.
And I just thought, hey, everybody's making all this money. I'm just going to buy what they're saying. And dude, probably one of the best lessons you can learn right away. Just stop taking stock tips. I promise you, they don't ever, even if they work, it's not sustainable.
Totally.
So once I learned that lesson, then there was then I realized that you could do this thing called shorting stocks because I seemed to suck at buying them. When I learned how to short them, I started making money. This was around 1 year in or something. And I thought I had figured it out. I was like, oh, fuck, I kind of got this. But I did not have risk management ingrained in me at all. I would literally just add. Sometimes I'd get scared, but they'd always work out. Mm-hmm. And then I had one that did not work out, and it didn't blow me up, but it was you might as well call it a blow up, right? When you take a $50,000 account down to $7,000 or something, it's you didn't lose it all, but it's not the same thing, right? So then I found a mentor. I was lucky, and he showed me a system where not only did it teach me one of the core things I've always tried to pass on to people I work with, which is the way stocks move via trends. And obviously I know that sounds it's not like he invented trending, right? Trends exist. Right. There's been books on trends for eons, but I'm talking the way that he sees the nuances of the way a stock's trend and on different time frames. is something I've never found anywhere else, and to this day
Wow.
is something that I use in
Wow.
everything I do. But he also, one of the cool things that came along with that system was like this strict adherence of knowing where you're wrong. Because like
Mm.
if this is going to be where the stock is going, then it should not go here. And to me, I was like, holy shit, that resonates, because if I know where I'm wrong before I ever even enter the trade, then I can never ever take an outsized loss.
Wow.
Fast forward however many years and however many more outsized losses I've taken because of the idiots in the village, right? But uh, that was around, I'd say 2 years in, 3 years in, and that changed everything. Once I had the risk management, because one, when you learn risk management the way that it was taught to me, it makes you feel bulletproof. Not
Mm.
like that you can do no wrong,
Right.
but that like even if you do wrong, you're protected. It feels like a bulletproof vest, basically.
Wow.
Not that you can't get shot,
Right.
just that you won't get killed.
Yeah. Exactly.
So putting that bulletproof vest on makes you feel like, I used to get like extreme anxiety leading up to the opening bell. When you put on that bulletproof vest where like worst case scenario is this X size loss, right? The anxiety dissipates
Mm.
because you're just like, I think a lot of the anxiety came from going, I wonder how big a loss I might take today,
Yeah.
right? Because if you don't know the answer to that question, that's scary. That's
Totally.
really scary. um, which is why, like, I still to this day say, you come to the market and you say, let's make sure we don't lose a certain, like, we protect our capital, right?
Yeah.
Let's see, that was around 3 years. I think it was, so I had still had my, like, I was doing fine trading, but I had the business with my business partner that didn't require a lot of my attention, um, all the way up until COVID.
Wow.
And even on top of that, like, I got married in that time, had kids. My wife that I married was employed. She was a U.S. Marine, and so
Right.
like
Right.
we were okay.
Yeah.
And that was kind of where I was going with Liz too, where I was saying, like, when you cut the cord and go full time, it comes with crazy amounts of stress. Uh, because when my wife retired and I left the business with my business partner, and like then it was just trading income, I thought like I had this all figured out, and then like it mentally it changes. There's something that triggered, that was like, wait a second, like, I mean, this setup works, and like the expectancy, and what size to take on this trade, and like where you're wrong, but I would still find like this like really, really bad hesitation to push the button when you need to push the button, because you're like, well, what if this one doesn't work, and I really don't need to take a loss today, and
Yeah.
that's a real thing. And
Totally.
that's, so we're talking, that happened. My wife retired in 2022.
Wow.
That's 3 years ago. So if you think we're talking about like a long time ago, we're not.
Yeah.
3 years, uh, where I feel like still to this day, like, I trade differently than I did back when I had a job and my wife was employed.
Yeah.
To this day, it's more like much more strict, much more uh, cautious. Like, I'm not a gunslinger by any means anymore. I think there was definitely a time where I was.
Yeah.
Uh, I always joke with friends, like, man, to be young again, right? To like,
Yeah.
if you live at home and if you're blessed enough to be trading while you still live at home and don't have a lot of bills,
Yeah.
I'm not saying that you should like get reckless, but like you should recognize that you have uh, a different world you live in than what a lot of other people do, and maybe there's an advantage to it that you need to exploit. Um, but yeah, in like I would say like 2015, 2016, I was probably profitable. And ever since then, I don't think I've had more than like, I don't know, 6, 7, 8, somewhere like less than 10 red months.
Wow.
Um,
Wow.
and it's not like I've had some bad losses, like some really bad losses, but like the ability to grind it back out, whether it means like having just a small red month, or, you know, maybe I was up big and gave back the whole month. That's happened. That sucks. No one likes it. But it's been pretty consistent. And then 2020 was when I walked away from the business with COVID. Honestly, I was kind of looking for an excuse to. I did not have any passion for that business at all anymore. I was just like,
Wow.
dude, every year during taxes, I wanted to puke. I was like, I hate this. I was like, if you mention the accountant's name to me in a text message, I would tell my business partner, like, if you bring up the accountant's name in regards to taxes, I'm just going to flip out. And then, yeah, 2022, when the wife retired, we moved from San Diego out here to Florida. And even and I promise you this, there's still some unforeseen shit I don't know about that is going to be the next hurdle for me. Like,
Yeah.
dude, whether it's like my first kid, maybe like going to college or getting married and having to pay for a wedding or something, like, I don't know, like there's bills coming down the pipeline that I'm like probably not even accounting for yet. Then I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
maybe I should be planning for that. I don't know. But
yeah,
would I trade it for anything in the world? Not a chance.
Yeah.
Not a chance.
Yeah.
Because dude, I'm at my kids' soccer practices, their gymnastics, their volleyball. Like, I'm at dude, people at the school probably are, how is this guy always picking his kids up?
Yeah.
I did volunteer work with my wife. She volunteers at the food drive here.
Wow.
And I volunteered at the Arnold Palmer this year. The
You
golf
did?
event.
You did?
I swear to God, I was the youngest freaking volunteer there because everybody's like a senior citizen.
Totally.
Who can volunteer? Only senior citizens and people that control their time. Like,
oh my God.
And I had a blast. I mean, it was such a cool experience. Saw like my favorite golfers, and now I get to golf at Bay Hill.
That's so
in a
great.
few months. So I'm like,
that's awesome. That's awesome. Gavin, what a great question. It's just, I think, really helpful for traders to hear just how that journey has been for you, Ricky. It's really powerful, really powerful. Thank you for sharing that. It's just, and I don't know if there's enough conversation about those variations of how a partner's income isn't there anymore. Like, I think there's all these varieties of how mentally the game is going to shift at times over the years if you're in it for the long haul. And it's too bad it's not talked about more. So thank you for doing that, because it helps everybody see, like, oh yeah, I was this way in the past. Now it can't be, or don't want to be. It's going to inevitably change. So prepare accordingly. All right, Michael, you asked a question, and I want Ricky to weigh in on this too. And Michael, here's a question for you first. Are you able to come into the room? Because, coaching by text is one thing where coaching in person is better. So in case you're still here, Michael, why don't you come in? I just sent the link again for you to come in if you want to. But if not, we'll both try to answer it in the meantime. So Mike asks, how do you work on increasing discipline? He feels he has 3 weeks of good discipline and 1 week of bad discipline, takes out all his profits. How should somebody work on this? So my answer to that, Michael, besides having you come in the room to talk it out a little bit more, is I would say, first of all, perhaps take a look at what the variables are that are happening in addition to, quote unquote, not having discipline. One thing I talk about, Michael has joined the stream. So perfect, Michael. So I'm going to put you on camera here. Just put your camera on if you would. Michael, can you hear me? Michael, you're on live. You should be. So let's see here. I'm going to just do it again. Michael, can you hear us? It looks like you're in here. So
sorry about that.
That's good. That's okay. So Michael, maybe you have to come back in, but you show me that you're in the room, but we can't hear or see you.
Ground control to Major Tom.
Exactly. All right. All right. Let's see. Here's a comment. Yes, my camera's not turning on. Okay, but we need to hear you at a minimum. Mike, can you put your mic on? Just check that you're not muted at least. Even if you can't turn your camera on, just make sure your mic can work because we got to hear you talk. Okay, he left, so maybe he's coming back in.
Check
So
your batteries.
that's true. Could be. Could be. Could be.
Unplug it for 30 seconds, plug it back in. I don't know.
It usually works, right?
Yeah.
You know, I just always think whenever discipline is somebody saying, well, I'm not being disciplined, I always have an inquiry if it's actual discipline or if there's something else afoot. All right, so let me see if this works now. Michael, can you hear me? And can we hear you? I don't hear you still, Mike. So let's see. Okay, Tina says, remember there's a 30-second delay on YouTube. Thank you, Tina. Tina is always taking care of us here. Ricky, she's watched all of my podcasts and she takes care of all the duties of knowledge and information. So I love you, Tina, so much. So let's see here. Mike, I don't hear you. So somehow your mic's not working. So if you want to try one more time, you can. But okay, that's okay. They don't turn on. No problem. We gave it a shot. So we'll just try instead to answer the question the best we can. So the heart of the matter, Mike, this is my perspective that I'm going to have Ricky weigh in. I'm always curious, is discipline, I feel discipline is a result. Our ability to stay disciplined is a result of other factors. So here's my suggestion. And I don't know if you have this list, Mike. I don't know how long you've been listening or watching me, but what I'm going to do is share this list, which I call it it's called a universal needs list that was put together by Marshall Rosenberg. And so what my first inclination is to suggest to you is that you get this list and you take a look at whether or not it's possible that the weeks you're not being disciplined, if there are some basic needs that you have that aren't being met, that you are seeking out in the market. And one of a need that is a universal need for all of us is the need for security. So if security is a need that you don't feel is really met in general, it could be that third week you are going to be coming from a place of, I need security, and you're going beyond what your risk profile normally is or beyond what your strategy calls for, because that need has sort of become hijacking you in how you're operating. So that's a very short answer. That might not be clear because if you're not familiar with my needs conversation, we'll have that. But sign up for that needs list. I just put it in the commentary, and let me just quickly get here on X and put it there too. But at the end of the day, why do I advocate you look at this? Is discipline, in my experience, if it's not happening, isn't happening for a reason. And the only way I feel we can start to kind of like address that is to get curious about how come you are disciplined for those other weeks and then you become undisciplined in the third week. That tells me there's something more afoot than just your ability to be disciplined or not. So I'll stop talking. Ricky, what are your thoughts on this concept?
One, I think you hit the nail on the head. It is amazing how the market will like be what we need it to be for us. Like, even though we don't think we want, like, I don't want something to spank me or punch me or kick me or rip my hair out, right? But like subconsciously, we have these needs, right? And if you aren't getting them met, you'll go to the market and you will self-sabotage without even knowing it. It's fucking crazy. Like, I can tell you the needs I had that I needed met yesterday, and boy, did they get met. The thing I would say to add on to what she just blessed us with is, one, make sure that you're disciplined in all your other areas of life too. So like, you need to like, because everything, I was listening to some guy today. He said it was like Willow
Jocko Willenick.
Got it backwards there.
Yeah.
Is the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. He's like, if your job is to make fries and you're not making the best fucking fries, then you ain't gonna make it, right? Like you have to put your name on everything you do, and that comes from discipline, right? So getting to the gym, waking up early, eating healthy, having a routine and sticking to it, like not deviating. If you don't do those things and think that it won't spill over into your trading, is crazy. I mean, I don't meet a whole lot of people that are as disciplined as me in terms of like the sticking to schedule, the routines I have, and like it honestly, Tom Candy's whole spiel the other night with Joe Fahmy was about how us as traders are really difficult people to be married to, and my wife goes, "Who's that talking?" She perked up real quick because God, it hit home. Like the things that it takes to be a good trader probably are what make us very difficult people to be around. Because think about it, like if you don't wake up at 4 in the fucking morning and you don't go to the gym and you don't eat healthy and you don't do all those things, do you really want to be around somebody that does that shit like religiously? Because what do? You think like their routine and discipline makes you feel like less than or something. And it's not that. Like here we are, like we go, no, babe, I'm leading by example. You better do it the right way. You better walk tippy-toe around that one because it's a tough subject.
It is. It is.
But it's mandatory. Like obviously the realm of relationships and the realm of trading are completely different. What makes you an amazing husband or brother or friend or whatever might not translate into being a great trader, and vice versa. But being disciplined in all your other aspects of life and the way that filters over into your trading, to me, is a non-negotiable. Like it's completely non-negotiable. And the times I trade the worst are the times that I'm not, something's missing from my outside discipline, like somewhere else. And the other thing would be, I've worked with, I can't even freaking count on both hands and feet how many traders I've worked with where when we first start working together, they tell me, yeah, I got like a 90% win rate. I'm pretty much like got this all figured out. And I'm just not profitable yet. Like, wait, so you're right 90% of the time, but you're not making money. That's like a huge red flag, right? How are you right 90% of the time, but you can't make money? And the answer is always the same thing. I have a ton of little tiny wins and then one big loss. And I wipes it all out. 90% win rate, can't make money. So where does that stem from? It stems from a few things. The first one that comes to mind is you cut your winners way short because as soon as you see green, you freak out and you go, oh, I need to lock that in. And you let your losers run because you see red and you go, no, I can't do that. I promise you, I've spoken with about this subject at length many times. I think that a 90% win rate is very dangerous because if you take 100 trades and you know, like from your statistics that only 10 of them should be wrong, how do you come to terms? How do you come to the ability to acknowledge that this might be one of those 10 when it is time? It's really hard compared to the guy that has the 50% win rate and makes money hand over fist.
Right.
Every single trade that comes down the pipe could just be, hey, I'm only right half the time. Just a coin flip. So
can I tell you that quote that Jason gave me just reminded me of it. Jason Shapiro said, "Be wrong, make money." That was his quote. I was like, that is the best quote I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Be wrong, make money. That's what you're saying.
It is. And it's be wrong and be willing to just admit it quickly and move on and not take it personal. Exactly. And think about opportunity cost, because the longer you sit in a wrong trade, however many trades you could be focusing on or however much mental capital you could be preserving, it's all going down the drain and you don't get it back.
Totally.
Um,
Totally.
and I mean, let alone the financial capital too, right?
Exactly.
Uh,
Exactly.
so it's, I mean, let's see. Mike says, I think part of the 1 week of undiscipline is overconfidence.
Confidence.
Yes, and
Yeah.
that's a huge thing.
Yep.
Hit a little heater, right? You get, and what do you do when you get overconfident? What's the first thing everyone does when they get overconfident? They size up. And so when the market humbles you, it does it where you have the most size. And when you should be trading the most size is when you have the smallest size, right?
Yep.
Okay, or true. And Mike says take too many subpar trades. Is that as well, right? Because you feel infallible.
Yep.
You feel like, dude, everything
Because
I
it's
touch turns to gold.
physiological. It's physiological. You are having a chemical bath in feeling like you're invincible. You're having
A chemical bath. I like that.
chemical bath of your whole system telling you you're invincible. This is what happens. This is what Coates talks about in The Hour Between Dog and Wolf. He says he was at Goldman Sachs at the time before he became a neuroscientist, and he watched himself behave irrationally and the traders at his desk. And he was like, what the hell's happening to us? We've been hijacked by the physiological experience of feeling invincible. And so he feels understanding these hormones that do go through a trader is the key, not only to spare a trader's account, but the global economy. Because he said it's like a virus electronically that every trader gets hit with this chemical bath. And if we don't, at least traders don't know it, they're more victim to it.
I love that. Yeah.
And I just want to say, Michael, one thing, keep my wrist the same for every trade. I just want to say something about the overconfidence and see if you can understand what I'm saying. I would argue that ultimately overconfidence is actually not true confidence. Whenever somebody is overconfident, it is an indication to me that they actually don't have true comfort with themselves. It is a lack of confidence when we see somebody showing hubris or I got it all figured out. That is an indication, I believe, that somebody doesn't have true, deep, honest to God comfort with themselves. Because when you really have confidence, you will be comfortable with not being perfect, not having it figured out. You will come from curiosity as opposed to this is what is so. You will always, true confidence will always leave room for ambiguity. But when you are feeling like you have to prove something to yourself, to the world, to your father, you're going to find this hubris will say, I have to be right. That is not confidence, in my opinion. Never mind overconfidence. I hope you follow that line of thought, Michael. And that would be then looking deep within, maybe get that Taming Your Gremlin book, which could also be called Taming the Village Idiot, as he quoted at top. But that concept of like, where does overconfidence come from? I suspect for all of us, it comes from not feeling like we are enough as we are, imperfect, fallible fuck ups. If you don't get comfortable with that part of yourself and you don't feel like you're enough, then overconfidence is going to hijack you every chance it gets. It's my 2 cents.
That's awesome. I love that. I'm going to steal that sometime very soon.
Here's a quote. Here's a quote from Marissa Peer, who's a hypnotherapist. She's, got a platform out there. But I read her book a long time ago, and these are 3 statements that she taught me that I still use. And I'm about to say them, Ricky, and I'm getting emotional just to say them because they're so profound. And this is it. I am enough. I have always been enough. I will always be enough. I still can't say those 3 sentences without getting emotional. Why? Because there is a part of me that still doesn't believe it. And that to me is what is costing everyone. Because if we truly believe that, knew it in our heart and our soul, all the things that we do that are costly would dissipate. But it's because we didn't get that in whatever our family of origin was. And not necessarily because they meant to, not deliver that truth, but it's likely our parents or caretakers never got it themselves. How could they teach to us if they didn't learn it for themselves?
Yeah, that's deep.
But that is,
Again,
yeah.
you are enough. I promise you.
Thank you, Keith.
I mean,
I
you're
know.
amazing and you do a lot for everybody. I don't ever want to know that you don't feel that inside of you, okay?
It's part of my healing journey, and it's because of that I do this, because I have healed. I have the ability to actually believe that sometimes, but because I didn't get it as a little girl, that is why I know the costs that come for me by not ever knowing that. And healing and getting that truth with all the work I've done on myself is what I know now is my call, my vocation is to get that out to as many people as possible. Because our whole lives change when we start to really believe that we are enough. And we don't have to be standing in, some people it's overconfidence, some people it shows up as not feeling like they're ever enough. And it's just all different extremities. But I think fundamentally that is the root of all of our suffering as humans. And Rosenberg taught me that the most dangerous word in the English language is the word deserve, because it implies that some of us are worthy and some of us are not. And that goes right back to the heart of it. We can't, if we believe we're truly worthy, then you can't but believe everybody else is worthy too.
Yeah. I mean, by default.
Right? Yeah. But thank you, Ricky, for saying that. I took it in. So,
Hey, everybody, put it in the chat. Everybody let Kim know. I'm sure everybody feels the same way. Show some love, guys. I mean, this lady here does a lot for this
You're
community.
sweet. Look, I get a little emotional, but it's emotional. This is the fundamental root I feel for all of us as humans who are on this journey. And that statement, she taught it to me, and I still say it to myself, and I invite everybody else here to say it to yourself too. So just if we each can heal ourselves, it'll change the whole world. It up levels all of humanity.
I catch myself saying things that you taught me all the time.
Excellent.
I was just today at my desk going, isn't that interesting? I was like watching this trade, I was like, trade's going against me. I was like, isn't that interesting? It's like, oh, I love it.
So good, so good. Thank you, Ricky, for being somebody that I can be myself with.
Anytime.
Thank you.
Anytime. You're a friend.
I love you so much.
I love you too.
I love you so much. Yeah. Yeah, it's really good. All right, well, thanks, guys. Clearly today was an unexpected curveball, but you're being vulnerable. I've
Yeah,
got to be
yep.
vulnerable too,
Hey, and
right?
like you said, like, hey,
I was like,
just like you said when I was
yeah,
talking about, you know, been training for
yeah,
God, I missed back when I could say I've been training for 10 years. Now it's like, what are we at, 13 or something, 14? I don't even know. But like, you know what I'm saying? It's like,
clean,
uh,
clean number.
when you've been training for a long time, you still have to be able to come to terms with the fact that like we still fuck up, we still do dumb shit, we still go through all the same things that all the other trainers go through. It may just be that we've been through it so many times that we deal with it a little better. But like the same applies to you and like your field of work is like just because like people think that, right? Like you do something for a living, therefore it must not affect you. Like, are you serious?
Right.
We're human. We're
What
all
would
humans. So, I mean,
exactly.
we
Exactly.
always put people on pedestals, like I can't tell you the amount of traders I've known that I put on these huge pedestals, and then I get to know them, and it's not a bad thing, but I realize that they're
No,
normal
no,
humans, and like that's actually a good
that's it.
thing. Like, I mean, people are like, "Oh, you mean they're not like these crazy killers that like, slay every trade and never feel fear and don't get anxiety?" It's like, no, they
Yeah,
worry too, and
yeah,
guess what?
yeah.
Their fears and their anxieties and their worries sometimes are way more than what we could even fathom because like some of the guys I know, like what I would consider a big loss, they call like a Monday morning. And I'm like, like
Right.
fuck, like there's different levels to this shit. And I'm sure like you
Totally.
guys think like any professional in any profession you meet must have everything all figured out. And it's like, no, you get to know them and they don't. All they've done is they figure out how to make it work for them. Um,
That's right. Or they've gone moved forward in the midst of their humanity. Like, and that's why I think it's so important because I think traders are comparing themselves to a figment of their imagination. And that's why I appreciate you being so forthright today because you're trying to say, look, human, just like you guys, human.
well,
Like that's
that's a lot of that's
that.
thanks to social media, right? Like, thanks to social media for
Yeah,
only
yeah,
encouraging people to post the good sides of everything.
true,
Like, whether it's,
true.
dude, I mean,
That's
ever
true.
since Facebook, what was that? I mean, I think I was
Yeah,
high school. I think it was like in 2000 or something, right? It was a long ass time ago. And
yeah,
like
yeah.
Facebook was like one of the
It
first.
is.
I mean, obviously there was MySpace, and I'm sure the kids in the chat room are like, "What the hell is my?" They're googling MySpace right now. Uh, God, I remember a
Chat
time
GPT it.
before. I
Chat
remember a time
GPT it.
before there was social media. uh, but the thing is like, you know, Facebook was the first real social media that kind of like grabbed hold of all of society and had everybody encapsulated. And people were like, wait, this is like the first time where we've felt like we get to be the movie stars to our own movie. What are we going to put forth? Like, oh, we're going to make sure that it's just our best side every time, makeup perfect, duck face, whatever, right? But like,
Totally, totally.
we speaking about how fast time flies, right? That was 25 years ago. Look what happens in 25 years. Now you have that's more than one generation of people. That's like multiple generations of kids brought up only knowing that like all you do is show your best side to the world. Make sure you embellish things. Make sure you make things look like they're
Yeah,
always perfect. And it's like, we
I
all
know.
know that that's a lie, right? I, but Kim, I'm kind
Totally.
of worried.
But we
I'm
get
kind of
sucked up
worried.
into
Maybe,
it. We get
maybe we
sucked up
don't all know it's a lie. Maybe you and me know it's a lie because we
I
were around before social
yeah,
media.
sure, 'cause we're
But like,
older.
what about a
Yeah,
kid? What about
totally.
a kid
It's
that was
true.
born in like 2015 that's now 10 years old and is looking over his sister's shoulder as she scrolls Instagram? Maybe they think that's what
Yeah,
life is really freaking like. I don't know.
I know. Ow, they're gonna have a hard, rude awakening
Well,
when they
boy, they're
find
probably
out it
wondering like,
isn't.
Mom, Dad, why isn't my life like that? Like, uh,
That's right. That's right. I think you're right. I bet they do ask that, and that's what like, what is that poll that's out there that a lot of kids wanna ask now what they wanna be when they grow up? They say they wanna be an influencer.
If
Oh
there's
my
any
god,
profession
what
that
the
offers
hell?
less value to the world than a trader, I think I found it.
Oh,
Oh my god. Oh. And what's worse is there's trader
I just
influencers.
remember we did say that.
Oh my
It's
god.
true, it's true.
Fleecing them.
I do think traders bring value to the world, though.
No,
I
there,
do. I
the
do.
one argument I have heard made is that like efficient markets actually do help allocate capital towards companies that need it. And that's true.
Definitely,
But it also facilitates lots of
definitely.
fraud. And so I'm like, I don't know. Is
Absolutely.
I mean, like,
Absolutely. No doubt about it. But that's why you have to be vigilant. And that's why you have to manage your risk. And that's why you have to listen to veterans like Ricky, who will tell you how freaking hard it is, even after 13 years.
yeah. Yeah. And I expect it to be just as hard for the next 13. So
Oh, but that puts you ahead of most traders. And my hope is that the 196 that are here right now are now saying, huh, maybe I should start to think it's not going to be easy
yeah.
even later. That would be a great takeaway, guys, if you
If
walk
you're
away
not
just
one of
with
those
that.
people that likes doing hard shit, this isn't for you for sure. 100%. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. A lot of people get into trading because they're chasing that shiny object. Same way, like I've seen it in a lot of industries. There was like e-commerce was like hot for a while, drop shipping, whatever, forex, all these things.
Yep.
Like there's always a
Yep.
new shiny object, and everybody, the herds, the ones that just like want that quick fix, like the easy, the same people that want to take diet pills, right, instead of go to the gym. They're the ones that
Totally.
rush to that new
Totally.
thing, rush to the new thing, and they go
Yep.
from thing to thing to thing. They never put any real time in, never try to actually learn a craft, because you might initially get drawn to trading because it is the shiny object that caught your eye. But if you are the right type of
Yeah.
person, you put in the work and you put in the time and you treat it as a craft and learn through repetition, it actually can be the shiny object that you initially chased 10 years down the road, right? But if you go from thing to thing to thing your whole life, one, trading's not for you, and two, good luck finding anything that is for you, because nothing works that way in life. Nothing works like you just chase
right.
the next hot shit. Like,
No. There's just no quick fix. That's the key. It's not
yeah.
a quick fix.
And I mean, listen, guys, from somebody who literally, like, that's my whole thing, is like my spiel is like, I look for hard shit and I do it. Like that's like my thing. Like I love going to the gym. I love waking up early. I love only eating healthy ass shit. I love trading. I love doing really fucking hard shit. The joy is in the doing. It's not the outcome. It's like the actual doing of the hard shit that is the joy. Maybe I'm just, I don't know. That might make me sick and weird. I don't know, but like, it's better.
You
Yeah,
like challenge. Those are needs. Those are needs, human needs. Challenge, efficacy, strategic adventure. Like I think that's what you need, and you're getting it
yeah.
at being a trader.
And honestly, like it, I with kids, that's one of the things. It's like I reiterate on a regular basis. Is like, if it's hard to do and you can find some small enjoyment doing it, go all in, because the hard shit is where the good stuff is. It's where like most, because it's where you won't find the herds. It's where you won't find the, you know, the empty fields that have already been plowed. It's because it's like you're going through the unmined diamonds. You're literally in the caves, chipping away at the walls, trying to find the stuff that's not uncovered yet. And whether that's like physical stuff or stuff with inside you, that's what you got to do. You got to be digging. And you know, Goggins talks about it a lot, about like the callousing of the mind so that you can deal with life. Because dude, I love Goggins. But there are times when I'm like, he's even too hard for me. And I'm like, all right, God, you need to just chill the fuck out. Have an off day, bro. He doesn't have off days. I'm like, dude.
He doesn't. He doesn't. But it could be that, what he's lived through, that's how he copes, right? Everybody's coping with their own dragons, and his dragons, having read his book,
Oh
were
yeah.
fucking intense. And, every there could be just that there's some dragons for him he keeps at bay by always moving. But that's why I just feel like none of us know what another person's truly ever going through. And that's part of why we have to be careful to not necessarily follow exactly what they say, because we could have variables that are
Yeah,
different.
totally agree. I mean, I don't think
And,
Goggins wants everyone to be
you know,
like him. I think he's just trying to set the example, right? And
that's what he
yeah,
did
honestly,
for
like
himself.
he's
Yeah.
one of those guys that like not everybody can do it. Actually, nobody can do what he does. I was gonna say not everybody can do what he does. Nobody can do what he does.
Yeah.
That guy routinely like redefines
Yeah.
like what is even actually possible. Like you've read his books, so it's like
Yeah.
he talks about running an ultra marathon on like broken shins or like, and it's like, and just getting taped up on the course or on in the mountains, right? And just like finishing it out and just like, I'm like, you're a sick fuck. You're a sick puppy, bro. And like I like it. Like dude, I can vibe with that all day long, but it doesn't mean I'm doing that. I'm not, but everybody has their own level of like what pushing themselves is. Dude,
Totally.
for me, it's just being that guy that's like up before everyone else and at the gym. And, I'm not trying to be the biggest bodybuilder. Like, dude, genetically, I'm not a big guy. But I promise you, like, if I didn't eat right and exercise, I'd probably be like a $150, and I'm like 200 pounds. Like, I was skin and bones all through high school. I grew up a skateboarder. Us skateboarders aren't notoriously big guys, right? So,
Totally.
but
No. Look at Tony Hawk. He's just like Mr. Tall and thin.
I mean, I just like to do the hard shit, and like trading was always super hard. Like I said, I thought it was a secret club. You don't try to get in a secret club unless you like doing hard shit. It's like, wait a second. I didn't come from wealth.
So true.
I didn't come from like a higher educate. Like I went to college, but like my family was like all, the vast majority of them very undereducated, and so it was like hearing about a secret society is like, dude, what is this, like the He-Man Woman Haters Club? Like, dude, let me in. Honestly, only to find out that like it's not what I thought it was. But it is still hard. What we do for a living is like up there with some of the most difficult shit I've ever dealt with.
No doubt, because it's going to just bring up all the places, I think, where those shadows are and those dragons are. But on that note, we're going to have to wrap her up because I have another session with a client.
All good.
So, Ricky, thank you for this so much, giving us so much of not just your time, but your heart, your honesty, and for just sharing the journey of those last 24 hours with us, because I know it makes every trader listening here perhaps begin to realize that being human isn't an issue. It's part of the journey.
Hey, I'm here smiling, talking. I mean, life goes on. There's more to life than your P&L, guys.
Amen to that. All right. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you, Tina. Thank you, Michael, Liz. Was it Garvin? I want to just get your name right. I think, was it Garvin? Where is your name? I must have flown past it, but I think was it Garvin? I think it was Garvin.
Gavin.
Yeah,
Gavin's my golfer buddy.
Sorry, Gavin. I'm glad you were here. And I didn't see Dale today. What?
He's camping with his wife. Yeah,
Oh, that's
I
awesome.
will.
All right, tell him I said hello. Tell him I said hello. All right, goodbye, everybody. This will be up, of course, on YouTube. It will be up on all the platforms. And please be sure to be following Ricky and sign up for his YouTube channel too. I will see you next Wednesday, and maybe down the road, if you're willing, Ricky, we'll have you back.
Always.
Okay, good. Okay, good. Awesome. All right.